Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I decided I would show you guys how to make a famous Guyanese snack, and that's for bara. Now, bara in Guyana is totally different from the bara that you would find in Trinidad. So the bara in Trinidad is usually the two little pieces of fried flatbread that you would get your doubles made with, but in Guyana it's another form of like a fried fritter. That's the best way I could describe it to you guys. So it's basically made with split peas, spinach, and it has pepper and garlic inside. And you just go ahead and you fry that up, and they're so soft and fluffy. And then the perfect accompaniment to them is a nice little side of tamarind sauce. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how I make my bara. I'm going to show you guys how to make it nice and soft and fluffy, and I hope you guys enjoy this one. The ingredients that I'm going to need today to make my bara is some all-purpose flour, some water to go ahead and combine my dough. I have some salt to taste, some yeast and some baking powder, a little bit of dye, also known as tumeric, or if you're from Trinidad, you might call this saffron. And I also have some roasted ground geera or cumin, and I really recommend you use the fresh homemade ground geera for this. I'll leave the recipe link right up here for you guys to go look at that. I did a video for that a little while ago. I also have some frozen spinach, or you could use chopped fresh spinach if you would like. I also have some split peas powder here, also known as dal powder. Now, this bara is different from the pulori in that the pulori that I made is made with fresh dal, while bara is made with the split peas powder. So that's like the main difference. The other difference is that it's made with yeast here. So it makes it a little softer and less dense than the other one. And the last thing I have here is some garlic and hot pepper that I went ahead and just grinded up with a little bit of water. So let's get into the mixing process, guys. So the first step in making the bara is to go ahead and add in your baking powder and your yeast into the bowl with the flour. And you guys are going to notice that I am not proofing my yeast at all. As long as you add it in here and you just mix it up, it'll go ahead and rise on its own. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to add in all of my split peas powder or my dal powder. And I'm also going to add in my turmeric or my dye and my ground jeera. And I like my bara pretty yellow because I find when it's yellow it gets nice and brown in the oil when it's frying. The next step is to go ahead and add in a good amount of salt. You just want enough salt to taste. Then you're going to go in with a spoon, or you could go in with your hand, and you're going to just mix all of this in. And as I said before, I'm going to have to add in a little more turmeric, but I'm going to go ahead and mix my dough first, and then I'll see if I need to add in any more. The next step is to go ahead and add in all of your pepper and your garlic. And I don't really want to touch this directly with my hand before it burns my hand. So I'm just going to use a spoon for that. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in all of my spinach. Once you've added in all of your spinach as well as your garlic and your pepper, you want to go in with some clean hands and you want to go ahead and start mixing in those ingredients. The reason why I'm doing this before I add the water is just so that I could get all of the ingredients combined and they're all evenly distributed throughout the bara dough. So at this point I'm going to go ahead and start adding in my water, and we're going to do this a little bit at a time because I don't want to make the bara dough too soft, nor do I want to make it too hard. If it's too hard, then what's going to happen is the bara is going to be very tough and almost dry when you're done frying it. And if it's too soft, then what's going to happen is they're going to get very oily when they start to fry in that oil. And they're not really going to hold their shape that well when you go to fry them. So you just want to make sure and gauge it. This might take a few trial and errors before you can finally get it perfect, but I promise you guys with a little practice it'll be perfect in the end. So I'm just going to go in, add a little touch more water because I can see with the texture it needs just a little more. And I'm also deciding to go ahead and add in a little more turmeric or dye. And the reason why I'm doing this, as I said before, is because I like when my bara is very yellow. Once you've got all of that water mixed in and you've got your bara dough to your desired texture, we're going to start the most important step in making bara, and that's whipping or beating the dough. So what I'm doing is I'm just continuously beating the dough with my hand, as you guys can see here, and you want to do this for about 2 to 5 minutes. The reason why we do this is so that the bara can be very fluffy and it can be very soft when it's done frying. The thing is, if you don't do this, the bara is going to end up being a little tough. Now let me tell you what, this step takes a lot of arm work, but guess what? It's well worth all of the effort. Once you've gone ahead and beat the dough for about 2 to 5 minutes and you've given your arms a nice little workout, what we're going to go ahead and do is cover this bowl with some cling wrap. Now, if you wanted, you could also throw a kitchen towel over it, but I'm going to go ahead and use the plastic wrap just because I don't want the towel to accidentally touch the dough and it's going to mess up your towel. So I'm just going to go ahead and cover it, and I'm going to leave it on a counter, or you could leave it in any warm place for about an hour to let it rise, and then we can go ahead and start frying. Once your dough has risen for about an hour, it's time to go ahead and fry. Now I'm going to be very honest with you. Sometimes the dough does not raise that much, and it's because of the temperature or the climate of the area that you're in. So sometimes my dough will rise a lot, sometimes it won't rise a lot, and that's okay. So I have my dough here, and I just showed you guys a bowl lined with paper towels. So go ahead and put my finished bara in and let that oil drain off. I also have a little ramekin here with a little bit of oil inside, so this way I could rub it on my hand when I go ahead and start frying my baras. Now, some people, they will use water to do this step, but the oil is just safer because remember, water splatters when it hits hot oil. So I prefer to use the oil just for safety purposes. So I rubbed my hand in the oil, and I'm going to go ahead and scoop up a little bit of that bara mixture. And what you're going to want to do is spread it out between your fingers and go ahead and drop it into the oil. Now, some people's bara comes out really round, some people's bara comes out in a million different shapes, and sometimes mine will come out round, sometimes it'll come out in different shapes. And really the biggest thing that matters is the taste, so don't worry about how it looks in the end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue dropping all of the baras into the oil, and as usual you want to make sure that you keep dipping your hands in that oil regularly, so this way the dough doesn't stick up all over your fingers. So I'm going to continue dropping them all in the oil, and once my pot is full, I'm going to show you guys when to start flipping them. I did forget to mention that my oil is at a medium-high heat, and you want to make sure that you keep your oil regulated throughout this whole cooking process. And this is just so that you don't end up getting bars that are really dark on the outside and then they're not cooked on the inside. So you just want to be careful of that. So once the bars are golden brown, once you see the edges start to get golden brown while you're frying them, you want to go ahead and start flipping them over. And as you guys can see, I just flipped them over, and those sides of them are really nice and golden brown, and that's exactly what you want. So I'm going to tell you guys that it's about 2 minutes of cooking per side, maybe 1 to 2 minutes of cooking per side, depending on how hot your oil was. And I just want to show you guys here that this bara looks so soft and fluffy on the inside. Before I show you guys the finished product, I wanted to show you guys another way to go ahead and fry this bara. So the person who taught me to fry the bara this way is my auntie Chandra, and she told me to go ahead and put a hole in the middle of the bara so this way they could cook evenly throughout. Now, it's the same process. You're going to go ahead and dip your hands in the oil, you're going to spread it out between your fingers, and you're going to go ahead and open up the middle with your two thumbs. So this is great for beginners because if you're a little uncertain about how long the bara is going to take to fry, at least you know that with that hole it's going to cook very evenly throughout. All of that oil gets in the middle of the bara and it cooks evenly throughout. So this is just another way of doing it, and honestly you could do it whichever way suits you the best. I prefer doing it the other way, just the regular simple way, but if you wanted to, you could do it like this also. So I'm just going to continue frying out the rest of them, and then I'm going to show you guys the finished product. Alright guys, so I finished frying out all of my bara, and as you guys can see, they're beautiful and golden brown on the outside, and as I showed you guys before, they're so soft and fluffy on the inside, exactly what a bara should be like. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please go ahead and give this recipe a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet. That's the only way that you guys will be seeing the newest videos that I've posted. Please go ahead and comment down below on what you guys would like me to make next. Once again, thanks for watching everyone.